and realized that the first week of law school was not the regular schedule that they had sent to us. And I trudge off to class to go to, I think I was supposed to go to torts. And so I'm walking around in Preston. The room was empty when I got there. I thought it was a crazy trick. I said, they really don't want me to go to law school, these people. And then a very nice law student comes over to help me. I told him I was a first year, and he chuckled wisely. And he said, oh, you're a first year. He goes, it's a different schedule the first week. You have Civ Pro with Mclaughlin, and you're late. Because he really dislikes tardy students. I'm like, oh my God, but it's not my fault. So I trudge off, he tells me where to go. I walk in, and I had just come back from 7 weeks in India. I was very brown. I had a nose ring, and I forgot to take off the dangling anklets that I was wearing from my trip. So I'm walking in, jingling, and Professor Mclaughlin stops, and there's just dead silence. And I took 2 more steps and realized that, I was like, oh. And he's a microphone podium like this, talking to the class, huge room, and he goes, how nice of you to grace us with your presence. I was humiliated. I was like, and I wanted to explain that I had been away in India and hadn't gotten the letter, missed the email, but I thought it best to just sit down. And that was my first experience with Professor Mclaughlin. Now, those of you who know me know that I have a somewhat typical, and I'm not stereotyping, but the truth is the truth. I have a somewhat little typical sense of Latin timing. But I was never late again for Professor Mclaughlin's class. Even in heels, I was running. As a matter of fact, his class and being chair of this board have been the best things that have happened to my punctuality and time. I'm not really funny, and I know people were asking or expecting me to say funny things about Professor Mclaughlin, but the truth is that I really am in such awe of him that I can really only speak seriously about him. I can tell you some things that you may already know. He's a graduate of Columbia and Harvard Law School. He's of counsel to Newman Ferrara since September of 2011. As you already know from my story, he's a faculty member at Pace University School of Law, where he teaches courses focusing on civil rights, litigation, labor law, voting rights, civil procedure, and New York practice. Before joining Pace's law faculty in 1988, he specialized in civil litigation and labor law. He began his legal career at the Center for Constitutional Rights, a civil rights, civil liberties legal organization in New York, where for 8 years he worked side by side with the renowned civil rights attorney, William Kunstler. Randy is a scary black man. I can tell you that he frightens senators, prosecutors, and even the Ku Klux Klan. That is because he has pioneered the development of legal strategies to redress racially motivated violence. In 1982, he won a large award for 5 black women who had been attacked by members of the Chattanooga Ku Klux Klan. One of his cases has been featured in a book by Caroline Kennedy entitled In Our Defense, The Bill of Rights in Action. It is a book I use in my criminal justice class at Scarsdale High School. Professor Mclaughlin has won landmark victories in voting rights cases against Hempstead and Portchester. As a result of his victory in Portchester, and I don't even know if you know this, Randy, you probably do, a Latino went on to become the first ever Hispanic trustee, recently re-elected to a second term. This is a man that has really made a difference. Randy has taken on the police and prosecutorial agencies throughout Westchester County. In '97, he represented the family of Charles Campbell, who was killed during a dispute over a parking space in nearby Dobbs Ferry, New York. Randy continues to represent the cause of justice. Along with Mayor Bartlett, he is currently representing the family of Kenneth Chamberlain and demanding federal oversight in Westchester County policing of the police. When I asked Randy to share something that was not in his official bio, he said the following. One of my mentors was Mort Davis, president of the Center for Constitutional Rights. He was the lawyer who Bill Kunstler used whenever he got into trouble, which was often. Morty taught me that you can prevail against any adversary, no matter how powerful or large a firm they hired. All we had to do was work longer and harder. He taught me that any problem, no matter how difficult, can be solved. You just have to keep turning it over and looking at it from all angles. He has followed that advice for the past 35 years. I can tell you that being in his class was nothing short of exhilarating. He made me want to study law and be a true lawyer, a representative of justice. I don't want to get into the details, but I have my law degree because of Randy. I know that he looks at his mentors, Bill Kunstler and Morty Davis, with great pride as the greats. And I want you all to know that for me, knowing Randy is knowing one of the greats. Randy Mclaughlin.
Say that I very rarely get verklempt, but hearing Maria do that for me, I mean, I got a little emotional myself. So I'm going to try and bring it back in. Now, I've got two examples of how to do this tonight. One is manna and the other is mayor. And of course, there's the unbelievable Wali Muhammad, so we won't go there. So I'm going to try and not be as long as Mayo and not be as short as Matt. We'll see how we do. Okay, we're going to break this into sections. First, the thank yous. I want to thank this organization for what it's done for the community, for the country, for the people, and for the Constitution. Because you stand up for all those things. And I want to thank my family for being here. And so my wife. My wife is not only my law partner, she's my partner in life. And we do everything together. We work together, we have an office right next to each other, we sleep together, we do everything together. Thank God! I mean the same bed, that's what I meant. So I want to thank her for the work that we've done together in Westchester County and in other places. And we've been doing this now for about 12 or 13 years. Debbie and I ran an organization, for those of you from Pace may remember, called the Social Justice Center at Pace Law School. And we pioneered some of the work that's now rippling still in this county. And I have to also thank, in his difficult manner, you know, where are you, Manna? There you are. You know how hard it is to balance family and work, especially when you love the work that you do, but you also love the family you have. And that's always a tension that's within us. And I'll start with the eldest and go down to the youngest. My daughter, Malika Scott Mclaughlin, is here. And we're so proud of her. She's a court attorney in the civil court in the city of New York. She's the only one so far that's followed in the legal footsteps. I'm not sure why she did that, but I'm happy she has. And then the next one up is my son, Randolph Scott Mclaughlin. And he is just starting a PhD program in psychology at Columbia University. So we're very proud of him. And then our daughter, next daughter up, is Sarah Suture. She's just graduated from Emerson College, and we're happy about that, with a degree in communication disorders, and wants to work with autistic children. And then the last, and not the least, is the last son, number 2 son, and he is probably going to be the next lawyer in the family. I'm not sure why again, but he wants to be a lawyer, so we're going to let him do that. And that's Charles Suture. He's just finished his 2nd year at George Washington University. The reason why he was late and my wife was late was they were working in the city separately, but he's working for he's interning for the city council president and Yonkers City Council, and Debbie and I had a matter before the council. So that's the family, and we love them all deeply, and it's an honor and a privilege that they all came today. And I would, the next part of my family, in a sense, because as you said, as Matt said, when you work and you love the work that you do, the people you work with become part of your family as well. And I want to thank the firm of Newman Ferrara that brought us in a couple of years ago now, and brought Debbie in as well. And we're co-chairs of their civil rights practice group. And they were a mainstream, real estate litigation firm, and we wound up there. So one day I said to Lucas Ferrara is one of the named partners, and he's here. I said, Lucas, some of the stuff I do is kind of controversial. He says, we like controversy. So he's never, ever stifled me, said I shouldn't say what I say, shouldn't take the kind of cases. He's backed my work, supported what we do, and it's been a real arrow in our quiver that has enabled us to expand the work that we do in a tremendous way. That even though we've done it in other forms, we didn't have the opportunities we now have today. And I want to thank the firm and the partners who are here with him. Jared, Jet Castle. And last but not least, I wouldn't be here in Westchester County if a law school over there in White Plains hadn't invited me to join their crazy faculty. And I've been on their faculty for 24 years. I'm tenured there. They've supported my work in various forms, and I love them for that. And my students, my interns are here who are working with me at the firm, and Courtney Chanette is a graduate, and also working at the firm. That's the thank you, sir. And I know I'm not the keynote speaker. Don't worry about it. You get a moment. In a moment. We couldn't do the work that we do, and I'm speaking now for the lawyers and the organization, the NYCLU. We couldn't do the work that we do if the clients that we represent didn't have the courage to stand up and be counted. All we are merely representative. So when you thank me, when you congratulate me, you're not really congratulating me. You're not giving me an award. You're giving Ken Chamberlain an award. You're giving the folks that we work for an award. Because without them, without these individuals who didn't ask for the trouble that they encountered, but stepped up and had the courage of their convictions and put themselves forward. So the work that Mayo and I do, and Wally and Debbie, it's easy. Frankly, it's easy. We're not at risk. I mean, yes, we are. Our licenses are at risk. Many of the folks who I grew up with in the law have been disbarred or suspended, and not because they did illegal things, but because they spoke truth to power, and power crushed them. That's what happened. Mayo and I, we've been lucky. And I've learned from those examples how to speak truth to power, but walk a very tight rope, so that we don't run into that problem. And we're still here doing what we do. I've been doing this for 35 years now, and I love what I do. Now, some of us could say, and I'll be frank with you, when Obama became president, I was like, I was in Ohio working on the campaign to make sure he got elected. And I thought when Obama got elected, milk and honey was going to flow into the streets, and gold would be everywhere. We'd like, we wouldn't need the NYCLU. It was such a warm and fuzzy moment for the first time a black man in this country, and you should know this. He is a descendant of a slave. Many of you don't know this. He is a descendant through his mother of a man named John Punch. John Punch was the first African in this country ever held legally as a slave. And Barack Obama is a direct descendant of that man through his mother. Because Mr. Punch, when his descendants blended with the population, they didn't look like Africans anymore. So yeah, Mrs. Obama, Miss Obama, she had some black up in her somewhere. So a descendant of the first slave is the president of this country. That's an amazing thing to say. But I'm not done yet. So I was thrilled. But just lately, I've been really troubled. I've been troubled that our president, this administration, is sending, they call them drones, let's call them what they are, weapons of terror to assassinate American citizens abroad without any due process, without a trial, without an indictment, just on his say-so. When did King George come back? Yeah. That's what that is. Yeah. Send them to the tower, off with their heads. And if he can do it, I worry what the next one will do. Because it may not be Hillary Clinton, it may be some guy named Rubio from someplace else. He hasn't closed Guantanamo, though he could. And while he has outlawed torture, we don't waterboard, we are torturing people in that place. When you strap a man down and you force a tube up his nose into his stomach and force feed him, that is torture. It's torture. And these individuals who they're torturing in Guantanamo, what have they done? They're on a hunger strike, not because they're criminals. These men are entitled to be free, to be returned to Yemen. They've committed no crimes. And they're being tortured in our name. So no, I don't love Obama as much as I did. As much as I did. I still love him a little bit. And then finally, we thought George Bush was a proponent of wireless wiretaps and invasions of privacy. Well, okay, they changed the law so you can't do that anymore, but the massive intrusion into the privacy of citizens and civilians by this administration is unprecedented. Unprecedented. And he's doing it through the law. Bill Kunster said in his speech, when dictators want to take away our rights, they do it legal. That's what he said. It's legal now to do what he's doing. It doesn't make it right. Every warrant that the FISA court has considered, thousands of them, they've never seen a warrant application they didn't like. So what does that tell you? That's a rubber stamp to terror. Now, I'm closing. This organization, its parent, the ACLU, just today has filed a federal lawsuit challenging the NSA spying on American people and vote support. So if we thought that we didn't need these kinds of organizations anymore, we didn't need the fighters and the warriors who are in this room anymore, think again. We need them even more. And just like the United States says we don't have friends, we have interests, I don't have friends, I have interests. And my interest is justice. And I don't care whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. If you're doing things that are illegal or in violation of someone's rights, I am going to sue you. Mayor, That's what we do. And again, thank you so much. I really appreciate coming back here this year. Last year I gave the keynote speech. We won't tell what happened that day. Those who are here know, it's a little shocking. But thank you for bringing me back despite that. And I wish you all the best. And I bought 12 raffle tickets. I urge you all to buy raffle tickets.
From the New York State Senate, I'm here as Tourist President. A certificate of achievement from Congresswoman Nita Lowey. And from the New York State Assembly, a citation honoring Randolph Mclaughlin for exemplary service.